Chapter 8, 5 p.m., Columbus, Kansas. They followed the storm east for about 3 miles, and then they pulled off the road. They got out and stood at the edge of a cornfield. The air was steamy and thick, and the wind was stronger. The corn plants rippled like waves on a stormy ocean. They stood for a few minutes, watching as the metal gray cloud grew thicker and darker. Before Dex's eyes, the cloud formed itself into a giant circle. The bottom was perfectly flat, and the top towered up into the sky, as though it would bump into the moon. Dex thought it looked like a UFO, but Dr. Gage said it had a more scientific name for it. That is a perfect cumulonimbus cloud. He stared in awe. Those are the clouds that make tornadoes. Dr. Gage walked to the back of the SUV and popped open the tailgate. Let's get some sound pods into the sky, he said, grabbing the rifle. Would you like to do the shooting? Dex took the rifle, trying to act as if it was no big deal. But inside his brain, an excited little voice was screaming, I get to shoot the pods! I get to shoot the pods! Dr. Gage grabbed 4 of the silver balls. He took a quick look at the weather radar. I think the storm is actually losing strength. Sure enough, that UFO cloud was already melting apart like gray ice cream left out in the sun. But let's shoot some pods up anyway. I'm curious to hear what's going on in there. We'll go into the middle of the field. The wind will be better. Dr. Gage led Dex into the middle of the cornfield, where stalks rose up past Dex's knees. He helped Dex load the balls into the rifle. Pull the trigger 4 times with about 5 seconds in between. Dex aimed up at the cloud. Each of the silver balls streaked into the air and then pop, 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 pop. One by one, the pods burst open, releasing the balloons. They rose through the sky like 4 brave soldiers ready for a daring mission. Perfect, Dr. Gage exclaimed. Dex's heart leaped up, and he thought of Jeremy. His brother would love this. Dex could imagine Jeremy's chiming laugh, how his blue eyes would gleam, how they'd talk about this for weeks. And then came the familiar gut stab of worry as Dex wondered where on earth his brother was. He closed his eyes, trying to block out the pictures of exploding bombs and burning tanks that flashed through his mind. And then, boom! For a second, Dex thought a bomb had blasted out of his mind and into the field. But when he opened his eyes, he saw bolts of lightning tearing open the storm cloud. The cloud had turned black, and was billowing like smoke. Boom! Dex could actually feel electricity pulsing through the air. The hairs on his arms stood straight up from the shock. Boom, boom, boom! Lightning bolts shot out of the cloud like flaming spears. Kaboom! Dr. Gage grabbed Dex's arms. I was wrong about this storm. It's dangerous. We need to get away from this lightning. Kaboom! A tree at the edge of the field got hit and exploded into a million pieces. The skies burst open and rain came pouring down in sheets. In seconds, Dex's hair and clothes were soaked. He ran with Dr. Gage, slipping in the mud, blinking away the raindrops that splashed into his eyes. And then came the hail. The stones were small at first, but soon Dex and Dr. Gage were being pummeled by big rocks. Cover your head, Dr. Gage boomed. Dex put his hands over his head, but it didn't help. It was like getting hit by baseballs pitched at 100 miles an hour. They were just a few feet from the car when a huge hailstone smashed into Dex. He saw a burst of stars, and the next thing he knew, he was on the ground.